by Victory Auto Group, with sports director Max Williams and weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson. Sponsored by Atson Offers Velocity Power Sports, Palace Bingo, and Frost Bank. Crossroads Football Live starts now.
We have arrived to week 9 of Crossroads Football Live, and we have 3 top teams right now on a bye in Cuero, Yoakum, and Ganado, which we're going to hear from the Indians football team later on tonight, including having some cheerleaders in the show as well there for our, again, CFL Spotlight that we're going to have later on. Before we get all to that, though, we'll look at our game of the week between the Bay City Black Cats facing the El Campo Ricebirds, and the Bay City Black Cats are looking to respond after a tough loss last week to Livernia, while El Campo, they're looking to keep that momentum after beating Floresville last week 49-7. And again, Kylan Taylor, big-time offensive threat in the running back position, but Vlad Garcia has been huge too. How about the defense, though, for Bay City? They get a big-time play, get a sack right there by James Copeland. Again, that stops him, only gets a field goal for El Campo on that drive. But for Bay City, they would respond right back. Kamarian Wiggins, I talked about him last weekend against Livernia, got a couple of touchdown passes. He gets a touchdown rush right here. How about one-man miss? Gets into the end zone there for the Black Cats, and they take the early lead in this contest there for Bay City. But El Campo, that rushing attack is lethal. How about this run there from number 3, Kylan Taylor, all the way to the house, untouched there on that play. And again, El Campo responds right back. After this, though, how about a big-time score right away from Bay City? This game went back and forth, but Bay City, at the end of the day, the final score in this contest would be 35-17. The Black Cats win our game of the week. They now get a little bit of revenge, officially now 6-2 overall, while El Campo officially drops to 6-2 in their kind of district record. So big-time matchup to watch for both of these teams. Now, after this big-time win there for the Bay City Black Cats, we had a chance, as our 25 News Now weekend sports anchor Ray Robinson had a chance to catch up with the big-time defensive star and James Copeland for the Black Cats about what kind of made them get this big-time victory tonight.
Max, week 9 saw Bay City walk away with the victory. Final score 35-17. And I mean, the presence was set definitely on the defensive side of the ball. And one of the guys I think that had a good role in that was James Copeland, senior. This is a historic rivalry. You know, you've been in this game for 4 years, man. So, you know, what was the mindset going into tonight's game and, you know, this being your last rival game against El Campo?
I ain't gonna lie, this game, everybody had a calm mindset, you know. Over there, we had a kid transfer over, you know, and his coach declined him, so, you know, he don't need to play his senior year. So everybody just went out there and put it out there for him.
Absolutely, for sure. Do you think games like this, do they ever cease to exceed your expectation? Like, you know, what is the expectations for games like this?
For a game like this, I expect there to be a great game from both sides of the ball. Might be a little trash talk, might get a little chippy, but at the end of the day, everybody's just playing football and they're trying to go somewhere at the end of the day.
For sure, and I saw a lot of aggressiveness. I mean, I saw jerseys on the ball and stuff like that. Can you just walk me through, you know, like, you know, what is the reason, you know, how are you guys, what is the reasoning for some good defense, some good elite defense?
Well, the reasoning for our good defense this year is that we know, like, that a lot of the guys last year filled in big spots and had big shoes. So the guys coming up this year have big shoes to fill in. So instead of, like, beating the last year's team with athleticism, we beat the team by flogging around to the ball and gang tackling.
I love it, man. And I think you guys definitely bounced back against Livernia. So, man, you know, the momentum's now in your favor. Looking into next week's games, you know, how you guys plan on wrapping up the regular season?
Right now we plan on taking it one game at a time, one practice at a time. You know, my guys are locked in. We're hungry, you know. After that loss to Livernia, you know, we got a lot to prove right now. You know, don't everybody think we can win the big game. So, you know, after that, you know, we just get the work done.
Best of luck to you, James. All right, thank you. Max, back to you.
All right, props up there again to James Copeland and the Bay City Black Cats. As again, that's a big-time victory to get back on track. And that District 15 4A Division I is going to be a lot tougher right now going on the last couple weeks in the regular season. But let's go over to 3A Division I with the Edna Cowboys. They traveled out to Goliad to face the Tigers. And the Edna Cowboys head into this match on a 3-game winning streak, while Goliad got a big-time victory last week versus Orange Grove. Let's check it out. How about that score early from Donovan Perry gets it going? And then how about this? How about another right here for Perry? This guy has been probably the most improved type of player I've seen throughout the entire year here for Goliad. He's making big-time plays left and right. But Edna, this is where they've started to get their offense going. Big-time rush right here from Keegan Hicks. And he thought he looked like he's going to get tackled on that play. He does not. He gets there all the way to the house. give her a touchdown there for the Edna Cowboys. And again, this offense goes when Keegan Hicks goes for Edna. But then after that, though, Cord Zamzow, the quarterback, by Cy Henke for the touchdown. And rest like that, Goliad, this was a very back-and-forth game. It was 21-21 at a point, but then Edna would pull away, getting 14 unanswered. And the final score in this contest was 37-28. So I actually got 17 unanswered points in that. And Goliad did get a score to try to get it close, but big-time win for Edna. Officially now with that win, Edna, Goliad, and Orange Grove are close in an all-way tie right now in district for standings. So that means those last 2 weeks are going to be huge for all these teams going the rest of the way, because Goliad travels out to Ransas Pass on Halloween night. After the game, we had a chance there to actually speak with the head coach there for the Edna Cowboys and Jamie Dixon about how they thought about this big-time matchup and big win versus Goliad. And actually, we do not have that with us there, unfortunately. See if we can get there later on in the show. Therefore, again, Jamie Dixon there in that one. But let's trip it over to the Sand Crabs. They took care of business there, beating Floresville to go now officially 2-1 there in district play. They won 37-28 in that contest. So now after El Campo lost, Calhoun gets a little confident now as they get to travel out to Ricebirds there next week in a big-time matchup. And stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live, as after the break, we're going to check out Victoria East and West, how they did tonight, and we're going to reveal our band of the week. So stay right there.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Victory Auto Group, where the customer always wins.
We're back, everyone, here to Crossroads Football Live, and now we have a chance. We actually got the interview that we had there for Coach Jamie Dixon after that big-time victory there for the Edna Cowboys beating the Goliad Tigers. So here was his message that he said to one of our reporters after the game, after their big win versus Goliad.
It on the scoreboard it is slow, but you had two great teams just battling out, going back and forth, just trading blows, and at the end, our kids came out. They're fighters. I love the fight of the Cowboys, and they got a lot of heart, and they did a great job. And these kids, it's two tough teams, and our kids came out on top fighting hard.
Again, props up there again for Coach Jamie Dixon and the Edna Cowboys. Big victory versus Goliad. But now let's look over there to Victoria West, as after they lost to Bernie Greyhounds there last week, 24-14, looking to snap a 2-game losing streak versus San Antonio Harlandale. First, though, for West, they would try to they know their defense, when they make big time plays, they can get the job done. And that hasn't been the case the past couple of weeks, but their offense has scored a lot of points there to help them out there for the Warriors the rest of the way. But their defense made a big play here. How about Unesis Garcia for Harlandale, their quarterback, gets stopped at the goal line there for the West Warriors defense, forced him to a field goal there, only 3 points. But then the next drive, Nolan Boyce, the quarterback, calls his own number, makes a big time run, almost all the way, could have went to the house, but he gets pushed out of bounds there around the 5-yard line. The next play, Brody Flores, the running back, gets into the end zone, and the Warriors would take the 10-3 lead at that point in the game. And then after that, West offense would just keep humming and humming. They would get a big time win, 59-17 there over Harlandale. So they snapped their 2-game losing streak. They're back on track because they're going to have their bye week next week before they end their regular season there in 2 weeks on the road for San Antonio Veterans Memorial. Over to Victoria East, who traveled out to San Antonio area to face the Bernie champion Chargers. And again, for the Chargers, for East, they need a desperate win, but the Chargers, they got the offense going right away. How about this big pass from Ryder Flugans, finding number 9, Zachary Lopez, for the touchdown early there for the Chargers in this contest. And again, for East, they got to find a way to keep the consistency on defense. They haven't done that. Left the guy wide open there on the play. Flugans just escapes the pocket, finds Owen Thornton, the tight end, for the touchdown. It would be 14-0 there at that point in the game, and Bernie Champion win 48-14 over East, making them their record of 1-7 overall. So for East, they're just hoping to finish the season strong. Their next 2 games left will be at home for senior night there versus San Antonio Piper, and they get to travel out to Smithson Valley for Thursday night football there on November 6. Now let's check out here this week's Band of the Week. And we mentioned Goliad had a tough loss there for Etzenda, but they win our Band of the Week there for this week, and directed by Jen Bridges as their band director. Again, they've also competed in very high school marching band competition this past Saturday. They placed very high there at the past big time marching band contest there last week. So congrats there in a top place for the Goliad Tigers band for being named our Band of the Week. Now back to the action. We're in 2A Division 1. The Refugio Bobcats were back in district action after their bye week last week. They faced the Freer Buckaroos on the road. And again, Refugio, they have just looked consistent on offense. This was actually a defensive play. How about this right here? Getting down there on the play. And then the next play there on Freer, this is what this defense, a fumble. And then look at this for Refugio. A scoop, it looked like they had it, and they get it down, but they get inside the red zone area. And then literally, how about this offense? Ray Lewis does a little quarterback design keeper, and he just calls his own number for the touchdown there for the Bobcats. And this game just went all over for Refugio. They made big time plays because the final score in this game was 60-3. Refugio will get the big time win, and they just do not slow down right now for the Bobcats because they're going to host Skidmore Titan for their senior night next week at home on Halloween night. And Refugio, again, this is a team I think is going to have a big noise the rest of the way of the season. And finally, the Shiner Comanches, they host the Pettis War Eagles there, and they get a big time win, 61-6 over Pettis. They travel out to Louise next week, and again, then they're going to show possibly for the district title there versus the Yorktown Wildcats. Will reveal their score versus Louise later on in the show. And stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live, as after the break, we take a trip out to Ganado High School, and we're going to hear from Coach Josh Irvin, Austin Pena, Kate Nixon, Josh Hart, and 3 other Ganado cheerleaders. That's all next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Palace Bingo. You can't have high school football without the beat of the marching bands. Crossroads Football Live is excited to spotlight talent in our local high schools with our Band of the Week segment. Every week, we'll pick one band to feature on Crossroads Football Live. Get your cameras and show us your band under the Friday night lights. Go to crossroadstoday.com/contest to nominate. Tune in to CFL every Friday night at 10:35 to see who's marching to the top.
One team that's on their bye week this week is the Ganado Indians, who are currently 7-1 overall. And again, they're 4-0 there in district currently. And so earlier this week, I went out there to Ganado High School to see how the teams are feeling and kind of how they're feeling to finish off the latter part of their season. So check it on out. 7-1 right now overall, right? And this team, again, had the tough loss there to Tidehaven back there in, I believe, week 3. But this team looks like they're getting back on track for you guys. So, like, walk me through, like, how do you feel right now with this team going in a district that you kind of dominated so far and feeling you still got Bloomington and Danbury? Like, how's the team feeling going into the bye week?
Yeah, I think there's definitely been a lot of improvement as the season has gone. There's still a lot of work that we have to do, and we're excited about learning from what we've even messed up last week, and then just working really hard this week to keep improving and see where we go from there.
Absolutely. One of those players that's kind of been huge, right, is you, Austin, right? I mean, it's different for a team, right, because you had to deal with Bryce Holman, right? I've always mentioned how he was as quarterback-wise, but now having Landon Arriaga there as your quarterback, way different overall for this team-wise and how he's been playing. Walk me through, like, how's it feel playing with him, a quarterback, you would say, this year?
Landon's a great QB. He's a great leader. He shows up to practice every day. He's wanting to work, and he puts the ball where it needs to be. He's got the legs to run, and he's just a great quarterback overall.
Absolutely, and I mean that's cool because I mean, looked like Bryce and Landon, they got similar traits for quarterback wise, right? You can tell that again, using the running game, but also when he needs to, he makes the big passes, right? And again, being a lefty too, that's a little bit of kind of advantage sometimes being a left-handed quarterback than right-handed, because for defenses, you don't know what it's going to be like, you know. So at the quarterback spot, so Cade, you're another one of those underrated, I would say, wide receivers for this team, right? That kind of makes some big-time plays when you need to. So like, walk me through, how do you feel like this year has been for you overall, and like, what are some things you've worked on maybe from from last season to improve here for this season?
I think this season has been pretty well for me. I've had some good plays, but I can't do that without my teammates, especially Landon, AP. We all work together really hard, and you can't do anything by yourself. You always have your teammates to be there with you and to help you through it.
Awesome. And so, I mean, that's kind of what I've noticed with your team overall, right? It's a very team-oriented team. You always want to get everyone that's near it, because Logan Burst, one of the top runners here in this team as well, he's kind of, I think, excelled his game to coach this year, including with Austin and with Landon. So, like, walk me through, like, you know, like, knowing that this team right now, you guys won a state championship, right? I feel like now you guys know that everyone's got your back now, that you know you were the 2A Division I state champs. So, like, how does it feel knowing that, you know, you've kind of been on people's radar now, being champions and stuff like that, and how has that kind of maybe changed overall, like how, you know, you've talked to the team and speech-wise and everything when it goes to that?
I don't know if there's per se a target on the back or anything like that. The biggest thing that I think that we're focused on is just improving how well we play, and we believe that if we do that day in and day out, everything else will take care of itself. Now, talking about the state championship last year, there's different, I guess you could call them expectations. A lot of these kids, whether they were on the team or they seen it, they know what it looks like. They know that it's possible, and being in that situation, I think that right there kind of elevates everything and makes it special. But we're just focused on the daily improvement of the team that we have this year.
Again, that was part of my conversation there with the Ganado Indians football team and cheer team as well. So if you want to see the full extended interview, just head on over to crossroadstoday.com/sports or check out our YouTube channel on our website to see the full extended interview. But stay with us here on Crossroads Football Live. As after the break, we're going to see if Yorktown can stay hot in district, and can Industrial go 3-1 in district and make a possible chance for their playoff hopes. That's all coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by Frost Bank.
Everyone here to Crossroads Football Live, and the Yorktown Wildcats at 6-1 heading in this matchup. They're facing the Louise Hornets. Had a big-time matchup out there in 2A Division II. Again, they want to keep up with Shiner for the district title possibly in a couple of weeks there. Again, they got a big-time have to get a big-time victory versus Louise in this matchup. For the Hornets, they're just hoping they can again try to get into the playoffs, as currently they are 2-5 overall for Louise heading into this matchup. And starting off here, how about this one for Louise? Again, out there, Connor Gonzalez kind of gets stopped right away there. Yorktown takes advantage, and then literally on the next drive, Brody Medding throws it up. Big time play out there to Matthew Olgeen for a big time touchdown pass and reception for the Wildcats, and Yorktown would pull away here from this game. The final score in this one was 44-0. Yorktown Wildcats would get the victory for Yorktown. They're going to be, again, on the road next week, actually hosting Falls City next week, while Louise is going to have their senior night against the top-ranked Shiner Comanches out there next week. For bowling and industrial over 3 Division II, the Cobras are on a 2-game winning streak heading into this one. For bowling, they are 1-6 overall in this big-time game. Starting off there, bowling gets into the end zone here right away and starts off fast for the Bulldogs. Again, bowling, they've always kind of had it. It's been tricky for industrial this matchup versus bowling for both of these teams. They've always tried to find a way in that same district to see who's going to get in the playoffs. But industrial, they respond right away. Big time rushing touchdown there for the Cobras, getting into the end zone. And again, this would be a tie ball game at 7-7 apiece. But bowling right afterwards, they get a big time run, and again, untouched right there to the seam of the defense, and gets an easy touchdown there for the Bulldogs. This game was again back and forth in this contest, but industrial had too much offense on for them. They won 43-28 in that one, so they travel out to East Bernard there next week, and again they'll also host Wallace Brazos in week 11. Quickly with our #1 team in Friday Night 5 rankings, and they kept looking like it. 68-9 Tidehaven beat Rice Consolidated in that win. They're going to be at bowling next week on Halloween. Over to Palacios, they traveled out to Mathis there tonight, and again Mathis gets the victory 22-0 over Palacios. Again for the Sharks, they're going to have their senior night there next week on Halloween versus London. And finally Bloomington, before their big home clash with Ganado next week, they traveled out to Schulenburg, and again Schulenburg would get the win 41-0 over Bloomington. So their last game of the regular season will be next week versus the Ganado Indians. And finally, after this break, we're going to reveal 3 final scores from the private sector, and we're going to see who's on the list for the top 5 for our Friday Night 5 rankings. It's coming up next on Crossroads Football Live.
This portion of Crossroads Football Live is brought to you by